1,
2,
3.
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster.
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honeybee.
Fun time, go!
Merry Christmas, Honeybee.
Merry Christmas, Precious.
It's Christmas Eve when this episode comes out. So everybody get to bed early so Santa can come.
Is that how your family does it? You guys go to bed early on Christmas Eve and then open Christmas Day?
Yeah.
Nice.
Is that not how you do it? Well, what we used to do when we were really little is our parents would let us open the present from our grandparents on Christmas Eve because it was always clothes and it might be something nice that we could wear to church that night because we would go to the Christmas Eve
cute.
Mass. We would go to like the vigil, the midnight Mass.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
sometimes there's a kids early vigil, not early midnight because it's either midnight or it's not. They would call it the kids midnight Mass, but we would go to the early vigil Mass or we would go to the midnight Mass, just depending on how many really young kids there were in the house.
Yeah.
So yeah, we would open those presents early because they weren't really fun presents, but we might be able to wear them to church. And then we would get up way early, as early as was conceivably allowed the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And we would get our stockings and check out our stockings while our parents kind of woke up and made coffee and girded themselves
Nice.
for the rest of the morning. So how did you guys do it?
We would wait for midnight mass. We'd go to the midnight mass and then we would open presents after.
Oh,
So yeah, we just stayed on Christmas Eve. We would like have to stay awake, that was like the fun, cool part about it is all the kids got to run around and stay awake really late and we'd go to midnight mass and then we'd come home and we'd have our Christmas and then we'd like all go to bed and the next morning we'd all have all of our shit all like around us and to play with and
No, because Santa's got to come. We have to go to sleep so that Santa can't come if you're awake. So Santa's got to come and fill up your stocking.
well, Santa was usually my drunk ass uncle, so with like cotton hanging from his face and with his girlfriend of the week sitting on his lap. So
we didn't see Santa Claus. We had to be asleep. And then there would be wrapped presents that, our parents gave us and we gave each other or whatever. But then Santa would not only fill our stockings, but usually bring a couple of other things that were for people or for the family as a whole or whatever.
I just remember my Theo Lloyd being like shithoused as Santa, and I'm like, wait a second, he's Santa? Like, what the hell?
Was it fooling anybody?
Hell no. He was trashed, and his beard was cotton balls.
Honeybee, we have a little bit of kaiju news.
Yay! Kaiju news. What is the kaiju news for the day?
It's about Troll. Have you seen Troll yet?
No, I haven't, but I am really excited to. It's on my list, and I have heard great things about it.
Well, apparently it is the #1 non-English movie on Netflix ever.
Oh, wow. Ever?
That is based on the number of hours played in its first 28 days of release.
Wow, that is some news.
Yeah, so good for them. I saw it. I liked it. I have watched it. We will talk about it more once we have both seen it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
I recommend it, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to avoid talking about today's movie. This is our second. Oh, really? Okay, that's how it's going to be. This is our second annual Christmas special, and for this year, I chose unwisely Christmas, Bloody Christmas.
No way.
Wow, I was going to apologize for choosing this movie, but I guess I don't need to.
No, I'm so sad.
Christmas Bloody Christmas is brand new. It just came out,
Yes,
This
it
month.
just came out.
which is why I thought it'd be a good idea. It might be fun to watch something new. It has a limited theatrical release, and it is on the Shudder streaming service, which is a horror-focused streaming service.
Yeah, I saw that there were some showings of it here in the city. I was like, oh my gosh! I wish I would have
Yeah.
gone to theaters to see it.
Really? Because I regret
Yes!
deeply watching this movie.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. I'm devastated. I am devastated.
The thing is, when it's a robot Santa Claus goes on a killing spree, which I thought sounded like some good cheesy fun. But I found the characters to be completely unlikable and the dialogue to be unlistenable.
Oh my word.
This is the kind of movie where, now, Honeybee and I have been known to drop an F-bomb on this show, but this movie has Jack Black levels of F-bombs. It's just
What?
constant. The fucking F-bombs are fucking constant in this fucking movie. Fuck. That's what it's like. I always wonder when I hear something like this, did the director / screenwriter, because they're both the same clown, did he actually write the dialogue this way, or did he just tell the actors, feel free to sprinkle some fucks into your dialogue as you go?
Wow. I did not feel that way at all.
To me, it's just lazy writing. You save that. Save the F's for to have some impact. And it just gets annoying when it's every other word. To me, it's lazy, it's stupid, it's unpleasant, it's meaningless, and it's bad writing or bad directing or both. Because everything you put in a movie is there by choice. It's there for a reason. It's not by accident. So save those F-bombs to have some kind of an impact. And I found it so annoying, and just the crude dialogue in general, I just found unpleasant and off-putting. And I think it was attempting to make them all edgy, and they just seemed like potty-mouthed teenagers who had nothing important to say about anything. But apparently my co-host Honeybee had a different view of the situation, so let us hear it.
I did. I felt like it was so natural. Like, I felt like this was just like me getting off work at the bar, like talking to an employee, like talking to a regular. It was just so normal. I was like, wow, this is so good. I was a little nervous going into it, like Christmas, Bloody Christmas. Okay, what is this going to be? And then within like the first 15 minutes, because of the dialogue, I was hooked and I loved it because it felt so real, so realistic, so natural. It was literally just like two employees, two people who work together, like in the service industry type vibe. It was like a very like, these are bar people and people that just hang out in bars. So it just felt like very natural to me and normal to me, and I fucking loved it. It was part of the reason why I got hooked, why I thought the movie was so good, because I felt like the dialogue wasn't so much written or scripted as much as it was just two employees, like, who are, I mean, if you've worked at a restaurant or if you've worked anywhere and you like go out back, this is like, these are the conversations that are going on. It felt like it just felt super natural and normal. There were things I didn't like about this movie, but it was definitely not the dialogue and not the F-bombs, and I thought it was so good. It's one of the things that I really loved about the movie.
It was just so nonstop that to me it just made them sound stupid, and made the writer seem stupid and the director seem stupid. That they couldn't, I can curse, but it's not every. Do you really know anybody that just every other word is fuck?
Totally.
It's like how some people just say like Honeybee constantly.
Mm-hmm.
These people
I'm bad
use
about that
fuck.
too.
Yeah. I just hated them. I hated them. I found them well, and I don't understand drinking. I don't understand hanging out at bars. I don't relate to it at all. So I just found these people thoroughly unpleasant and unlikable and unrelatable to me personally. And yeah, I like some clever dialogue, and none of it was clever. It was all just filthy, but to no end. Not even in like a Tarantino way. It wasn't cleverly filthy. It was just lazily filthy. And also, I don't ever need to see Jonah Ray's ass again. That was uncalled for, people.
What?
Let me mention the cast and crew so we can discuss who the hell Jonah Ray is, because he's somebody I am familiar with, but perhaps you are not. This was directed and written by Joe Begos or Begos. I'm not sure how he pronounces it. This is like his fourth movie. It was released December 9th of 2022. I have no budget. I have no box office. I mean, we should still know what the budget is, but it's not up yet. They haven't really, I don't know. And of course, because it's streaming and just a limited release, who knows what the actual take is. It stars Riley Dandy as Tori Toombs, Sam Delic as Robbie Reynolds, Jonah fucking Ray as Jay. Jonah Ray Rodriguez is his birth name, so I don't know why he doesn't go by his full name unless he's just ashamed of being Hispanic. Jonah Ray is the third and one of the current hosts of Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's how I know who Jonah Ray is. So in the first scene, I'm like, wait, is that Jonah Ray? Oh my gosh, it is. And then later we see his ass and I'm like, no, do not want, unsubscribe, do not want.
Oh, come on.
And yes, in this filthy movie, the most skin we see is Jonah Ray's ass.
Love.
Dora Madison as Lana. Jeff Daniel Phillips as Sheriff Monroe. Honeybee, you will be familiar with at least one of his previous films. I did not. I am as well, but I did not recognize him, which I guess speaks to his talent? ?
I didn't recognize him.
You wouldn't. He was Herman Munster in the new Munsters movie, the recent Munsters movie. So, although we also disagreed about that movie,
yeah, we did.
It does show that he has some talent, because vastly different performances between that movie and this movie.
Totally.
Though I did not care for the Munsters, Jeff Daniel Phillips did understand the assignment. He did what he was asked to do in the Munsters.
I saw a thing today in a local newspaper that is given around town that the Munsters was the most underrated film of the year. So I was not the only one who liked it.
I think it was appropriately rated. Exactly appropriately rated. But we're not reviewing Munsters today. We'll get to the Munsters some other time. God help us. Abraham Benrubi was Santa, who I did not recognize at all, but is someone that I'm actually a fan of. Of course, you wouldn't recognize him because he's, he's playing a robot Santa. A lot of it is from his point of view, so we don't even see, his face is totally covered with a beard. We don't see his face that much because there's a lot of his point of view and a lot of close-ups on the accent and everything. But Abraham Benrubi first became known playing Kubiak on Parker Lewis Can't Lose. He was later a recurring character on ER and has been in a number of things, but every time I see him, I go, Kubiak! So, on the one hand, I was like, oh, he was Santa. On the other hand, I was like, oh, he was Santa? Kubiak was in this piece of shit?
Damn,
oh, that's a shame. But he's a big guy. Aww. That's why he was cast, because he's a big guy. Jeremy Gardner is Officer Smith. Graham Skipper was Mike. And a woman named Kansas Bowling was Liddy.
Oh.
Kansas Bowling. Let's just sit with
Two
that
things
for a
I hate.
I like bowling.
You do?
I don't do it often, but I have fun when I do.
Nice.
I could probably count on one hand the number of times I've gone bowling in my life, but I've always enjoyed it. Every time
Yeah,
I go,
I
I
just
think I should
always-
do this more often. And then I don't. And then I don't.
I'm just like, why did I pay money to put someone's stinky ass, dirty ass shoes on to roll a
Hey,
weighted
hey,
ball across the floor?
Hey, there is Lysol at every bowling counter I have ever been to.
I don't
They spray
care.
those shoes down.
It is not enough for me. It's like you're gonna roll a ball across the floor, which is like the first thing you ever learn to do for fun. You're gonna pay us money for it, and then to make you feel like a grown up, we're gonna put weight in the ball. Don't worry, in a few minutes we're gonna turn all the lights off. I'm just like, this is so fucking stupid. I can't. Like, I could get drunk at a bowling alley. Like, I could drink at a bowling alley and have a good time, not bowling, just drinking and watching my friends bowl. But I really just hate it.
I like knocking the pins down. It's a simple pleasure. Knock the pins down, and then
But
you
you're
don't have to
paying
set them back. The machine
money.
sets them back up for you. Once
Yeah,
again,
that's true.
trying to avoid talking about this piece of shit movie.
It was so good. How dare you?
This movie started life as a pitch for a remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is a rather famous or infamous Christmas slasher film from the 80s, I think. Maybe even the 70s.
Oh shit, cool.
There's been 5 of them plus a remake. So
Oh, damn.
somebody was, and they all involve somebody dressing up like Santa Claus and killing a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently whoever he was pitching this to said, Robot Santa, that's too far away from the original premise. No, we're not interested in turning him into a robot Santa for Silent Night, Deadly Night. So he said, all right, I'll just go make it myself. Screw you guys, I'm out of here. Excuse me. And so then he went ahead and made it himself. Because as I was watching this, I was like, oh, this is a lot like Silent Night, Deadly Night, including the use of an axe prominently. 1984 is the original Silent Night, Deadly Night. It was quite controversial when it first came out. People were appalled that you would have a Santa Claus running around killing people. Now there's
How could you do this
many,
to Santa?
many movies. Yeah, there's so many movies now with killer Santas. All right, so we start off with some channel changing. We get a bunch of sort of snippets of commercials and things, which all are on Channel 83. Channel 83 is the name of the production company. So we keep seeing Channel 83 on the TV, but it seems like even though they're flipping through channels, everything's on Channel 83.
That's funny.
And then we get a commercial that explains the premise of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. Defense Department has spent over $1 trillion on the most cutting-edge robot technology, deployed overseas for swift victory against America's deadliest enemies. And now, Sowell Robotic Products is here to make that technology fun for the entire family. Ho, ho, ho! Introducing RoboSanta Plus for the upcoming holiday season. With a vocabulary of over 90,000 words, a full range of motion, and built with military-grade construction, RoboSanta Plus fully replaces your local degenerate mall Santa, keeping you and your children safe.
Exclusively this weekend at Midland Mall and TW Bonkers.
Where's there another Midland? Because this is not fucking Midland.
Yeah, I did laugh when it said Midland Mall because Honeybee and I live near the town of Midland. Well, she's not currently. We're both from Odessa, which is right next door to Midland. They're almost connected. Over time, they've gotten closer and closer together as they've grown, so that it's almost hard to see where the dividing line is anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that made me laugh. There might be several Midlands in the nation, I'm not sure. But it's a nice generic name.
Yeah, when it was like Midland Mall, I was like, oh, cool. And then like in a few scenes, I saw trees and I was like, nope.
Yeah, it's not meant to be in Midland, Texas, I don't think. Anyway, that's the premise. So it appears that from what happens later, that they didn't just use the technology the military developed to make robot Santas, but that they actually took military robots and repurposed them as Santas.
fun for the whole family. You sure this wasn't in Texas?
There's a glitch in the programming, apparently. A lot of this is not explicitly stated, but just sort of hinted at. There's a glitch in the programming, and it reverts back to its original settings, which is go kill shit indiscriminately, which is not really a good programming for a military robot either. It should have to be specifically targeted rather than just kill whatever you run into. Search and destroy doesn't mean search and destroy everything. Search for a specific thing and destroy it. So, yeah, that's the premise, which I think could have been a good premise. I don't think it was well executed. And there's some implication through some news reports that other Santas, other places might be malfunctioning, but then we don't follow up on it. So that could have been interesting.
I will agree with you where there was like very little information. You had to really be paying attention to get the information that was there. And then they do like throw in little things like, oh, the recall, blah, blah, blah. There's one point where all the friends are sitting around talking and he's like, oh yeah, they just recalled these or whatever. And so it like mentions it a few times. And so if you like blink or you're not paying attention, you could miss it. And I was like, but I felt like everything else was so badass and so cool that I did not give a shit. Like it didn't matter that it was like, didn't make too much sense. I just loved it.
So, my next note is Jonah Ray! Exclamation point as Jay. Couple of assholes, Tori and Robbie.
Oh my gosh.
Very crude conversation, so edgy, I wrote. And Robbie is clearly jealous. So, Tori owns a record/novelty store. At first, it seems like a record store, but when we see it again later, it looks like there's a bunch of other shit in there, including VHS tapes. So I think it's sort of a general used entertainment store. So, Honeybee, what are these people? Are they hipsters? Are they metalheads? Are they? I mean, I said they were assholes, but where would you categorize them?
I wouldn't say they're really either of those things. Maybe just like metalheads or like alternate. I don't know. I really don't know, but they weren't assholes to me. I loved them.
Because they spent a lot of time.
I felt like they were my friends.
I'm so sorry. They spent a lot of time arguing about various bands and various movies and stuff and trying to show us how hip they were and how cool they were and how much they knew.
But it's not like hip cool stuff though. Like the stuff that they're like talking about, like it's not like, so I wouldn't say they're hipsters because it isn't like they were cool ass shit. Like
not hip in the modern hipster sense of handlebar mustaches and suspenders, and pork pie hats. Just that, I know, there's those kind of music assholes that's what they are. They're music assholes. They not only know a lot about music, which is a fine thing to know a lot about music, but to argue about it and look down on everybody that doesn't agree with whatever album of Metallica's you think is best, or the kind of people who can hang out in the record store just arguing about shit all day, but they don't actually.
But you have to understand that the reason why those two are arguing has nothing to do with like how much they know or the music. It has everything to do with like they just want to fuck each other and like they work together, and it's forbidden.
I understand that, but
okay.
I also believe that they have these conversations with other people all the time. They're being argumentative because they're trying to sort of impress each other and either diffuse or increase the sexual tension or trying to do both things simultaneously. But from their opening conversation with Jay, where she helps him pick out the right record album, these are the kind of, they're music nerds, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Record nerds. These are the kind of assholes who are convinced vinyl's better than everything else, no matter how scratchy it might.
It is! The scratch is part of it. The scratch sounds so good.
The media, where just playing the album itself damages the album is not a selling point for me. Anyway, yeah, they're those people. I felt so. Part of my problem is like I was like, there's no save the cat moments in this script. They're showing me these people who are aggressively unpleasant, but they haven't given me anyway. I guess it worked on you. They haven't given me any reason to like this woman. I just see her being kind of mean and condescending. She's also apparently really cheap because what's his name? Robbie complains a lot about how little he gets paid. Even though there is this sort of sexual attention, she's also just mean to him constantly. And maybe he's just into that, but yeah, also the whole thing about, oh yeah, just the constant, I hate Christmas. Christmas sucks. I hate it. I'm just like, then why are you in this movie? Why do I care about you? I don't know. I think maybe if somebody really loved Christmas and then got chased around by a killer robot Santa, that might be more. This is just confirming her hatred for Christmas. It might have been more traumatic for somebody who loved Christmas and then is betrayed by the robot Santa. I don't know. I found her thoroughly unlikable, and they didn't show her doing anything to make me like her, unless helping Ray pick out the right Jay, played by Jonah Ray, helping him pick out the right Christmas present. Was that supposed to be the save the cat moment that makes me like her? I don't know.
I loved her. I instantly, I connected with her character. I felt like she, kind of, has to play this badass, so that you can just see how, and hate Christmas and all of these things, so you can see how closed off she is, and how maybe whatever she's been through has made her a stronger person. She's a real person, I feel like, that I really feel like I knew these two people. I know people in my everyday life that made me think of these two people, and I really loved her. I loved how just normal they were, and I felt like the movie, there was so much normal shit in the beginning of the movie that as it went further and further, the more crazy shit that happened, it just was more believable for me because of how normal the beginning of the movie was. Just how regular everything seemed. Her and this guy, I'm telling you, if you ever work in a service industry, food place or a bar, this back and forth, this banter, this her being snippy and mean, or quote unquote mean, is all just, it's really just part of it. It's kind of just part of the culture, I think. And I think if you aren't a part of that or you don't understand it, it could come across as oh, this is a really unlikable person. But I think that's part of what makes her, that badass, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not saying they weren't real people. They were real assholes people I don't want to hang around with. And I've worked with people like this people who I think in their mind, they're oh, I'm just busting your balls. I'm well, I don't need that. Life is hard enough without my coworkers busting my balls. How about you just be supportive and nice for a change instead of constantly being a dick to me?
Okay, but what if it was a girl who wanted to fuck you?
Well, but she doesn't.
And then
eventually she does, but he has to talk her. Ugh. So in the beginning of the movie,
does. From the beginning, she knows,
which is also inappropriate.
She knows.
The thing, so she has a Tinder date that she's supposed to go on.
Yeah, it's not Tinder, but it's the equivalent in this.
Yeah,
world.
They might have used a made up name, but it's some app, some dude she met on an app that she just wants to bang because that's all she cares. She just has to get laid.
Because it's Christmas,
right?
And she's sad and alone. Shout out to all the dudes I banged on Christmas.
And there's certainly healthier ways to deal with that than just hooking up with some stranger online. And clearly Robbie is interested in her, and so is trying to shoot down the guy that who it turns out is married, I think, or at least has multiple children with multiple. He knows who what did they call him? They called that guy something.
Yeah, the singer guy.
Yes, she
taunt her with his song.
The final nail in the coffin of talking her out of this guy is playing his video of him singing. which was not good. Ah, damn it. I've got it somewhere. I wrote so many notes and I don't know why I even bothered. But the guy had some nickname that everybody knew him by. Because she just knew him from this app, but everybody's like, oh, that guy? He's terrible. Yeah, don't. Everybody knows that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a note, though, I wrote, by the way, that I just jumped out at me. At one point, they're bad-mouthing Blumhouse movies, which I thought was a mistake because Blumhouse movies are better than this. Don't bring up better movies in your shitty movie.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And then act like they're not good. I also wrote down Chekhov's shitty car.
Pausa rapidinho agora para falar de dica de ouro para os papais e mamães. Depois de experimentar a nova Hug Supreme Care Fralda Roupinha, tudo ficou ainda melhor para o meu filho. É a única com canais em X que se adaptam aos movimentos, com 2 vezes proteção noturna e cintura elástica que se adapta ao corpinho do bebê, além de ser super fácil de colocar e tirar. Praticidade pura. Então guarda essa dica. Nova Hug Supreme Care Fralda Roupinha. Bebê, estamos juntos nessa, mais do que nunca. Agora curta seu podcast.
So anyway, he talks her out of going out with this guy, and then they're gonna go meet up with Ray and Lana, Lana works at the toy store or owns the toy store. It's a little unclear.
She works at the toy store.
Ray, well, but she has the keys, so it's unclear if she just works there or...
I'm pretty sure she's just like a manager there because they say something about her, about them like spending the night. Or
they're gonna, apparently they have plans to fuck in the toy store.
Yes.
Robbie's like, what? Why? He's like, well, wouldn't you want to fuck in a toy store? I'm like, I don't. It's not
It's not because it's a toy store. It's because his girlfriend is a manager and she has the keys. I'm
but she made it sound like that was the appeal. Like, well, hasn't everybody always wanted to fuck in a toy store? Isn't that a fantasy we've all grown up having? Fucking in a toy store? I thought that's how she was presenting it. Eyeliner
Yikes.
Emmett. The guy's nickname was Eyeliner Emmett. And then I wrote parentheses Otter, close parentheses, because Emmett Otter is a Christmas movie. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
I have no idea.
Something about whether or not I wanted to fuck in a toy store, I think, but
I do not know. I have no idea. That train has left the station.
Bad Religion has a great Christmas album, according to these guys. I can't remember if I've heard it or not. And there are only 2 good Christmas songs. One of which is Buster Poindexter's version of Is That You, Santa Claus? I don't know if we ever heard what the number 1 good Christmas song is. Merry Christmas by the Ramones was the number 1.
Oh, the Ramones.
I think. Anyway, we get to the toy store and they're, exchanging gifts or whatever, which they've already drank part of Lana's gift. And we see Lana doing a line of coke. So I'm like, all right, they're going to fuck in a toy store and she's doing drugs. So clearly they're dying first, which of course they do.
Yeah, they sure do.
But that used to be one of the cliches of horror film, slasher films specifically, that if you either had sex or drank alcohol or did drugs or whatever, you were definitely going to get killed because the universe is punishing you for your sins. That was sort of the subtext of that idea in things like Friday the 13th and things like that. But everybody has sex and consumes drugs or alcohol or both, and one of them survives. The Robo Santa speaks, and they all talk about how creepy it is, and Jay mentions the recall, and they're picking the thing up on Friday. And they turn on a snow machine that the store has, and then they leave them to fuck in the toy store, and our 2 heroes, as it were, Tori and Robbie, move on to a bar to do some more drinking.
Yep.
And it's Christmas Eve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this poor bartender is open late on Christmas Eve and is trying to go home.
Yep. We all had to do it. I've like had to work on Christmas Day so many times in the bar because so many people just like don't have families. They don't have anywhere else to go. They're lonely, and they're regulars. They'll come to the bar and you can just spend Christmas together.
Well, in this particular bar, it's just the two of them. Everybody else has gone home. It's the two of them. But then the sheriff walks in and acts weird, and it's clear that they
So weird.
who seems like maybe he's on duty and shouldn't be drinking, but he is on duty because we see him on duty later in the film. So maybe he's just now heading to work and is having a drink. That's not at all correct. And so we cut back and forth between them doing their flirty, obnoxious music, arguing and drinking and at the bar. And as they get more drunk, the camera gets more drunk, I noticed.
Very
and cutting back and forth between that and the other two at the toy store and the Santa waking up and going into Killbot mode and getting an axe and Jonah
And
Ray's
you got to see your
ass.
full moon.
Yeah.
Full moon, baby.
And Sheriff complains about dog. I don't remember
No idea.
what dog he was complaining about. And he leaves, and then Robbie and Tori leave. And we get some coitus interruptus via axe.
Wah, wah.
Jonah Ray's going at it and gets an axe right in the back.
He got the axe.
Santa chases Lana as the other two walk home, and they walk past the toy store again because they're too
love
drunk to
this
drive.
part.
They're just walking. They're too drunk to drive. And
Smart.
oh, except they're not. They do. I mean, they are, but they do. Anyway, they hear her getting killed and mistake it for them enthusiastically doing what they said they were going to do. And so they just keep on walking.
They're like they celebrate it first though. They're like, yeah, get it, bitch. Get
and
railed in the
we
toy
did hear,
store.
we did hear before they got killed, Ray and Lana saying, "Oh, the two of them, they're gonna do it. They're not. Oh no, they're not. Oh yeah, they are. They're totally gonna fuck tonight."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yep.
I mean, she is his boss, so it is a problem potentially.
Yeah, but in jobs like that, everybody's fucking everybody, and we all know it.
And does it create a problem?
I mean, maybe here and there. I'm not sure. I don't work in that industry anymore, but also I don't. It even the problems that it created then, it wasn't problems for us really. It was just like I'm telling you, it's a whole lifestyle. It's a whole culture. It's hard to explain. But I mean, I understand that you don't like it. You didn't like it when I was in it either.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all. I don't get the appeal of drinking alcohol, especially to the point where you're no longer in control of your body.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly don't understand when people say, I'm going to go out and get shit-faced. It's like, not that you just started drinking and then accidentally had too much, but that your goal was to have too much. Don't get it. Don't get it at all.
Yeah, that's the only way I can drink is if I'm gonna get if I'm like gonna have a drink and it's like there is no other reason to have a drink than other to get shit faced.
Yeah, don't get it. Don't get it. Anyway, they this is where they're bad mouthing Blumhouse movies. They get to they walk to his car because he thinks that he can drive. That she's too drunk. He's sure that she's too drunk to drive, but he's not. I think he is, but it's a movie. So,
yeah, totally.
So they're not gonna. They're gonna have other problems. The car door won't open, and it's a shitty car. And I'm like, oh, it's Chekhov's shitty car. This is surely going to be important later that the passenger's door won't open.
Totally. Or that the car won't start right away.
Yeah. Well, they never. In any scary movie, it won't start right away when you're trying to get away, but they set that up by having it have trouble starting right now. And Santa follows them. Why it follows them specifically is not clear.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
Why it doesn't just start going building to building. You know, it should have gone to the bar next or whatever, but it follows them. And they establish that that her sister and brother-in-law are in town for Christmas, I guess. It kind of made it sound like they don't normally all live in the same place, but they're here now. I'm not sure. I also wrote down Unsolved Mystery soundtrack is something that she likes to listen to the soundtrack of Unsolved Mysteries, the TV show. I meant to look that up and see if that was actually something that's available. Lots of music talk. But they mention, so yeah, they're not done drinking, even though she's acting like she doesn't want to sleep with him. They agree that they're not done drinking, so come into my place and we'll drink some more. She says, but don't wake my sister. And then they proceed to argue loudly and play loud music for what seems like hours. And I'm like, how have they not woken up both the sister and the brother-in-law at this point? And then I was confused. I think this was part of the poor quality of the movie. Santa starts killing the neighbors, but I thought Santa was killing the sister and the brother-in-law.
Yeah, I don't think it's the poor quality. I think they meant to do that. Like
They meant to
you think
confuse me?
like, oh, yeah, because like you're supposed to think like, oh, Santa's in the house,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh shit, oh he's getting closer, but then it just turns out he's at the neighbors, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
'Cause
And
at
the
this-
way they edit it back and forth,
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool.
Because at this point, we haven't actually seen the sister and the brother-in-law. So I thought that's who was getting killed. But then there's a child also. And does he kill the child?
Yeah, he sure does.
So at one point, the husband next door hears a noise and thinks that the kid has gotten up and is getting into the presents too early and is upset. And that's when I started to go, wait, is there a kid? What's going on? And that's when I started to realize, oh, maybe it's not that house.
Yes.
And
we get a really great scene of Robbie going down on his boss. Snaps for that.
I found this scene very odd because I wrote that this sex scene is both graphic and tame at the same time.
It was so good. It was so good.
Well, it was very graphically clear what was happening, but at the same time she kept her bra on through the entire exchange, and we didn't actually see
And
it.
her panties.
And her panties, yes. And so we don't actually it's so this is what I mean by it's both graphic and tame at the same time, and that everything is covered up because the actress had a no nudity clause, and yet it's very clear what's happening. And I just thought that was an odd choice, especially because this movie's been so crude.
It was so good. It was so well done.
Okay, I just found it oddly done. And then the neighbor mom is killed in the bathroom, and the kid wakes up and asks Santa, "Where's mommy?" And then Tori gets dressed, fully dressed, because she's gonna have to run through the streets and stuff in a little bit. But this seemed unrealistic to me. Both the sex scene and then this seemed unrealistic. Why wouldn't she just throw on a robe or something? But no, she gets fully dressed, like puts her shoes. It's her house, but she puts her shoes and socks on and everything, and starts drinking some more and burns a pizza.
Nachos. It's nachos.
Oh, is it? Okay.
They actually put the nachos in before they start fucking around. And it was so funny because I watched this movie with Gus, and like they put the nachos in and then they like heavily start making out, and Gus goes, "God damn it, we're gonna burn the nachos."
Yeah, man. Just take a 2-second break to turn the oven off.
God damn it. They're gonna burn the nachos.
The kid asks Santa, "Why are you so bloody?" And then Tori, looking out the window, sees Santa kill the kid in the other house, and starts freaking out, trying to call the cops. Can't find the phone. Wakes up the sister and the husband. Santa somehow cuts the power.
Mm-hmm.
And here's we find out that Mike, the brother-in-law, is a complete and total fucking idiot.
Yeah. And then the rest of the movie is just Santa trying to kill Tori and everyone who comes in her path and his path.
And why? Why?
Yeah, I'm not sure why specifically he like I thought that to myself too. I'm like, I don't really understand why he's following her or chasing her, or I mean, it is her. It is specifically her, because she runs so many times and so many times he's like catching up to her and shit. So I'm not sure why it was her specifically, but it did not deter me from
It's a malfunctioning military robot But there's nothing, all it needed, they could have done that thing where it shows the readout, like in Terminator and many other things. Where we see what the robot's programming is. And all we had to do was see some kind of target acquired, locking on target, something to indicate that the programming is messed up and for some reason it's decided that she's the target. But no, this just wasn't well enough thought out, I thought, of why any of this shit is happening. But Mike is just a total, because the other three people understand, oh no, something bad is happening. We need to be quiet and crouch down and not let the killers, somebody's killed somebody. We're trying to call the police. And Mike's just like, what's going on, everybody? Like, go get the car keys. And he's like, okay, because I got the car keys. And then, get out, shut up. And he just, I don't know if he's autistic or something and doesn't understand social cues or just a fucking
I
moron.
think he just woke up.
Yeah, I know, but everybody else did too. The two assholes are drunk. The sister's also just woken up, but they all understand, danger. And Mike just, why are you yelling at me? I got the keys. I got the... So...
Well, some people are like that, where they can just wake up and be okay. Mike was not.
Yeah.
Mike needed a cup of coffee.
I had no... I wasn't really sad when any of these dum-dums died, but particularly Mike, I'm like, well, that's what you get.
You dumbass. Shut the hell up, Mike.
Yeah, Santa stomps around for a while outside while they're trying to be quiet, and then he just crashes through the window. He throws the neighbor's body.
I also yeah, he throws the body through the window. I like the sound that he makes when he's walking, like the zzz, 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 like the robot noise that it makes when he's walking. I really like that. It was funny.
Robbie is actually saved by the body landing on top of him because Santa tries to axe him, but the body is in between them. Sister gets killed. Brother-in-law. I wrote brother-in-law killed ? Because he kind of gets killed off camera, I believe.
The breaking of the neck of the sister, that death was like, yo, it was crazy. Because they show the bone sticking out,
yeah.
All of the weird smushy face, blood spewing deaths were really cool.
Robbie and Tori flee and get in the shit car and pretty much immediately crash it. And then the neighbor comes along and he's pissed off. They said something earlier about the neighbor's car being parked in a weird place or something. He comes along and is all mad, and they're like, oh, wait, behind you, and look out. They're trying to warn him, but he doesn't understand. And they can't get out that door. And then he's a different neighbor because the one neighbor's already dead. And then that guy's body gets thrown through the window and the car crashes again. And Robbie gets pulled out by Santa and killed. And what did I wrote?
Wah, wah. Thanks for the cunnilingus,
yeah,
Robbie.
He did not even...
He was just there for the pussy.
Yeah, she got hers, but he did not get his, and he died before.
Good.
What do you mean good?
I just mean it's just restoring a little bit of balance to the world. That's all.
Stay away from that girl, Robbie. She's trouble. She's gonna get you killed. Then sheriff's department. I wrote sheriff's department. I guess at some point they got a hold of the police.
They show up. Yeah, the sheriff's department shows up, and the sheriff has a gun.
Deputy. Yeah, the sheriff's deputies show up, and they don't really understand what's going on, and are trying to arrest Tori and put her in the sheriff's car.
Well, before that though, it's because that there's another guy who shows up, and he has a gun, and he thinks the Santa is a real life dude, and so he shoots him a few times. He's like, yeah, he's dead. And then he puts Tori in the front seat of the cop car. Thank God it's the front seat. I was like, oh no, he's gonna put her in the back seat, but he puts her in the front seat. And they have this whole, she's trying to tell him, you gotta go check on my friends, they're dead, la la la.
Yeah.
And then the Santa kills that guy. And then Which that death is really fucking crazy too. Like the blood spray on that one is like woo wee. But then the cops, when they get there the second time, they arrest Tori because she shows up in a cop car that is, they say that it's missing, but I'm like, it couldn't possibly be missing in that short amount of time. Like, and he was communicating with the person but I don't know. So they arrest her because she shows up in the cop car.
Yeah, Santa kills the first deputy. She gets in the car and drives away, sees the other cars coming, so stops and flags them down, and they just like, why is this civilian covered in blood and driving a police car, so let's arrest her, which is kind of understandable, but then they just won't listen at all.
It's like the creepy sheriff and his creepy sheriff twin.
Yeah. She does not realize for the longest time that it's a robot Santa, because why would you? But she thinks she does recognize the costume. She thinks some maniac broke into the toy store, may have hurt her friends, and took the costume off of the robot and is going around killing people. It has not occurred to her that the robot is the one actually doing it. Though the first time it gets shot and killed and then gets back up again should have been some kind of a clue. So she ends up back at the sheriff's office where she tries to explain everything going on, but the one deputy is just so upset that his coworker has been killed that he just isn't listening to anything. She runs over Santa at some point. I think when she first gets in the cop car, she runs over Santa.
Yeah, when she first gets in the cop car.
The sheriff, I wrote at the station, sheriff questioning deputy very unprofessional. She goes to clean herself up and then sees for the first time that she's covered in blood.
Oh.
The sheriff and the deputy are getting ready to go out. When she comes back out, nobody's answering their calls because the robots killed them all already. And then we see an ambulance driving up very quickly. And Tori realizes first what's happening. Santa's in the ambulance. The other two guys figured out at just the last moment that ambulance is not going to stop. Crashes right into a car in front of the station that immediately explodes.
Big nice boom.
Tori gets them to give her a gun, and there is so this whole thing is very Terminator-like, and then we even get a little bit of almost exactly but not quite Terminator music at this point. We get a little bit of doom, 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 but not quite exactly that, but I made a note of it.
Nice.
The sheriff goes out to try and, deal with whatever it is, and then his body gets thrown up and over the ambulance. Santa kills the deputy. That part I did think was pretty cool. There was some cool,
nice,
moments. It's just that I hated all of the victims so fucking much that I didn't care for the most part.
Boo.
Tori has a shotgun. Santa enters the station. Santa finds Tori and she tases him.
Yeah, and his face is a little bit torn off by this point, so you can really see his robot underneathness.
Yes. So I thought that, she's tasing him. That's going to short him out. Good, but not good enough. I mean, it is a military grade robot, so I guess it's a little bit insulated against that kind of stuff to a degree. But he reboots.
At this point, I looked at Gus and I said, in my line of work, this is what we call power lines. Tiny little power line moment.
Yep. Just has no effect. Tori gets in the ambulance and drives off with Santa hanging off the back of the ambulance. I kind of like this moment. Tori belts up and then crashes on purpose. So I thought that was good, actually showing her put on the seatbelt before she crashes the car on purpose. And Santa goes through the window.
Oh my gosh. You are something else. Ridiculous.
Well, I'm just saying, if she had just
that she put on a seatbelt. Finally, she did something that I liked. She's a likable person.
No, it wasn't that. It was just, if she had crashed it without us showing her putting it on, then we'd be like, why didn't she go flying through the window? It was an attention. Not that she's responsible, she's buckling up. Just that it was a good attention to detail. To show that, okay, she's not a total dummy. She knows that if she crashes this on purpose, she better buckle up first or she'll go flying. It's not going to work out well for her if she doesn't do that first. I just thought it was a good detail.
Nice.
She gets out, gets back in, and pins Santa with the ambulance between the ambulance and something. Gets back out and sets a fire to blow him up. Here I wrote she should have just poured water on him because, he's an electronic device. He'll just short out immediately.
Good thinking.
But that does come up in a little bit.
She doesn't have that idea yet.
Tori breaks into her own store because I guess she doesn't have the keys on her. She probably left them at home. I don't know. And then Santa activates his laser eyes that we haven't seen up until this moment.
Go Gadget, laser eyes.
Are they actually like weapon lasers, or are they just pointing at thing lasers?
No,
they're not hitting anything,
thought
right?
I thought so too. Yeah, I thought they were at first. I thought they were weapon lasers, but then I think as it goes on,
they're just targeting.
and you see them, they're just pointy. Yeah, they're just pointy lasers.
Targeting lasers. Pointing lasers. His arm is kind of pinned underneath the ambulance, and he frees it. Does he just tear it off? And he gets up. Tori smokes. I think she thinks she's.
Yeah.
I think she thinks
she's safe at this
point. She thought she beat him at this point and stops for a smoke. And then I wrote Terminator because at this point he does very much look like the Terminator because the covering is coming off and we're seeing the endoskeleton.
Mm-hmm.
Tori finally realizes it's a robot. I also wrote down VHS tapes. She grabs a sword because apparently that's the kind of thing she sells at the shop as well, and stabs it into him. And I wrote, seems like she should have gotten shocked because she puts a big old metal sword that appears to have a metal handle right through him, and there's a lot of sparks. And I'm like, why isn't she getting electrocuted? Phone. I wrote phone. Why did I write phone?
I don't know.
Does she try to call for help? She hit him with the phone? I don't know. And then I wrote, God damn it, still not dead. Because this last scene just goes on forever. She just, so many things that it seemed like, oh, this is okay, she's figured it out. If I put this big piece of metal right through this electronic thing, that ought to kill it. Nope, not dead. Sprinklers? She sets the trash on fire to set off the sprinklers. Breaks her ankle.
Yeah. Oh.
Santa shorts out. Still not quite dead, and chops Tori's fingers off. And I thought that he should have done this much earlier in the film. That it would have been a real, just that it would have been a very big obstacle for her to have to deal with earlier if she'd gotten her fingers cut off earlier. To just do it at the last minute like this just seemed wasted. If she'd had to go through the last third of the movie, if she'd gotten him cut off when he first came in the house and was killing everything, then that would have been a handicap for her to deal with through the rest of the movie. That might have been interesting. But no, just when she's almost beaten him, she gets her fingers cut off. Santa's down again, still not out. I get knocked down, but I get up again. Because you're never going to keep Santa down. She drops a shelf on him. Santa's still coming. And she pulls some wires off of the wall. The shop, because there's a lot of neon signs and things in the shop and displays and things. So there's one of those metal pipes that has wires running through it along the wall. It goes to various outlets and things. So she pulls that off the wall and electrocutes Santa. And then there's an explosion. Tori crawls into the street, and we end with a freeze frame on her screaming face.
Was she screaming? I felt like she was laughing.
It looked like a scream to me, but
I thought she
could have been laughing in relief.
Because she it shows like a moment of her like a 3-second clip before it freezes, and it's like she's like laughing.
I mean, it's probably a little bit of both.
I think she just finally like cracked.
Yes,
just broke.
Whether she's doing it by screaming or laughing, she's cracking at this moment. And it just freeze frames on that, which I thought was a terrible ending, but I guess you liked it.
I loved it. Loved it. thought it was great.
Ah.
I thought it was great, like, because, like, the end of how it, like, you think it's over, it's not, you think it's over, it's not. It's, like, the reason why I think that they did, like, the fingers at the end and her breaking her ankle is because if they didn't add those things, then, like, him coming back you wouldn't, like, stay in it. You wouldn't stay focused because it's happening so many times. So each time that he, like, comes back, there's another element that they add to keep you like, oh, shit. And so, like, her breaking her ankle and then getting her fingers chopped. I love that they did that at the end, like, just to keep you in it like that. And then her, like, actually, like, going through all that shit in her own shop, thinking she's safe, then not being safe, then, like, having more, the more fights and everything, and then her ending by her crawling in the street and just, like, laughing. I just felt like, man, it was so good. I just loved it. I was like, yes.
Oof.
I was so happy that you picked this movie. I was like, oh, I loved it. I'm so glad. I was so skeptical.
Really,
but
I felt
loved it
bad
so
for
much.
having to make you
Yeah.
watch this movie. I thought it was terrible, but I
God,
almost canceled it. I almost
loved
said,
it.
wait, let's go watch Christmas Horror Stories or something
Violent
instead.
Night.
Violent
Violent Night looks really good.
It does, and it's got that guy in it that we all like from Stranger
Who?
Things. He's on Stranger Things, and he
Oh,
was
I've
the most
never seen
recent.
that.
He was the most recent Hellboy, not the original Hellboy, but the most recent. David
Right.
Harbin, I think, is his name. I can't be bothered to look it up right now. Maybe we'll
No
do that
worries.
one next year, but I just didn't want to pay money to go to a theater to see it. Well, Honeybee, this movie has a 71% critics rating
Nice.
on Rotten Tomatoes and a nothing audience score. Like not a 0%, just a sort of not.
No one's done it yet.
Well, there are some. Yeah, it says 15 reviews, but apparently they haven't. Maybe that's not enough
Scored
reviews for them to give it a proper score. Because it doesn't say 0%, it just says blank dash dash next. It's just blank next to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I guess most of these critics, 71% out of 38 reviews, I guess most of them agreed with you, but I did not care for it. Yeah, these audience scores are swinging wildly though between 1 and 5, 2 and 4. There is quite a lot of One of them claims worst movie I think I've ever watched in my life. You've not seen enough movies. If this is because I didn't like it, but it's definitely not the worst I've ever seen. They had the same.
I loved it.
They had the same complaint I did. Listening to the unrealistic dialogue between the characters was way too frustrating. Nobody has that dirty of a mouth.
Not true.
It was too much.
These people are vanilla squares.
Vanilla squares.
Vanilla square wafers.
Okay. Judas Priest. Honeybee, what do you rate Christmas? Bloody Christmas.
5 stars.
I give it
hands
1.
down.
I give it
No
1. Fuck this
contest.
movie. Fuck these people.
5. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it.
Okay. This is probably the biggest disagreement we've had on the show so far.
Yeah, probably so.
But I am glad. In a way, though, I'm glad you enjoyed it because I felt bad. So now I don't feel bad.
No, I loved it. I loved it so much when I was looking in that newspaper that I was talking about today, and I saw that it was in theaters. I thought about going to see it again in theaters.
I do feel like it could have been much better. I would like to have seen more about the robot Santas. I would like to have seen, somebody getting in trouble. What do you mean you just repurposed the military robots? You were supposed to build new ones. Well, I thought it'd be more cost efficient. Like, you fucking idiot. They're going on a rampage across we've got like 50 reports from around the country. That kind of thing. I would like to have seen more detail on how this came about and why and who was going to get in trouble for it. Because somebody's going to get in trouble for it. That's just all going to happen.
Yeah, totally. Definitely.
But
I
that
loved
would've
that there was
cost
none
a lot
of that.
more money.
I felt like it.
This movie had limited locations and limited cast, so that would have cost a lot more money to add all that stuff. Oh, on Rotten Tomatoes it says the box office gross is 139.9 thousand, which is not a lot, but it is mostly a streaming thing, and is probably not in that many theaters, so I'm not going to say that it definitely lost money because I don't know. I don't know how you gauge when something's made for streaming or mostly made for streaming. I don't know how you gauge how much money it made.
I have no idea. Yeah.
I mean, you obviously have some kind of, well,
No
how many,
clue.
they have some way of measuring how many people watched it. And then from that, judging whether it was worth their money or not to them. So there you go, folks. Christmas, bloody Christmas. Merry fucking
Yes.
Christmas, everybody.
Merry fucking Christmas.
In theaters and on
bitches.
Shudder. Next week's movie is Godzilla vs. Gigan, which is available on HBO Max and possibly a couple other places. So that will be New Year's Eve when that episode comes out. We're not having a New Year's Eve
Nice.
special, just a Godzilla vs. Gigan episode. So, Merry Christmas.
You guys are our New Year's Eve specials.
Merry Christmas from me, Precious D.
Merry Christmas from me, Honey Bee.
Remember to keep calm and seek shelter in basements.
And please, don't misuse science.
Like these assholes.
And leave your cookies out for Santa.
These assholes clearly misused science when they repurposed military
Yeah.
robots as Santas.
Definitely. That is a misuse of science.
Although Santa is always watching you, we will not see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go. You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on your podcasting platform of choice. Our theme song is by the Texacato folk rock punk featuring Lita Lopez. You can support the show, find links to our social media, and even leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/MNFTG.
Fun time go!